Welcome, welcome. This is a quick little video tutorial about how to solve two different and difficult skills from 7V4 from IXL. Last week we wanted to be able to get to at least a level of 60, and then this week we're going to advance that up, and now we're looking to actually master get to that level of 100. So I want to show you a couple different ways to get some different problems and to solve those as we start getting higher into those SMART scores. So our first two problems are C divided by 4 plus 3 equals 8, and M plus 14 divided by 6 equals 3. The big thing is how you read these different problems, and that gives you a big hint about how to solve. So let's first take a look at them. First one is C divided by 4 plus 3 equals 8. What I'm going to do here is, since I have two different operations, I have my divided by and then I have my addition sign. When I have both of those two operations, when I read it, C divided by 4 plus 3 equals 8, I now know I have this plus 3 that is furthest from that C. Remember, my goal is to isolate C and to get C alone on one side of the equal sign. The 3 and the 4 are stopping from doing that. The 3 is completely separate. It's on a whole different number from that C, which makes it a lot easier to help separate. Or if you look at our next problem, it's a little more closely related. So here, with that 3 completely separated from C, especially by this addition sign, it's a completely different number, I can eliminate that 3 a lot easier. So from this, I'm going to eliminate my 3. So if I'm adding 3, I use my opposite operation, which is subtraction, and I subtract 3 away. Using the golden rule of algebra, I got to subtract 3 from both sides. Now I'm left with C divided by 4 equals 5. So now again, using that idea about OOI, if it tells me to do C divided by 4, that means I'm going to multiply by 4 in order to get rid of it. I'm using the opposite operation to help me isolate. And so if I want to get C alone, I need to get rid of that 4, therefore I got to multiply by 4. If I do one side of my equation, I must multiply the other side by 4. That leaves me with C alone, because those cancel out, and now I'm left with C on one side equals 20. So now I just did two different steps. I subtracted 3 divided by 4, and that's how I got to my C. I did my opposite operations to help me isolate. Now if you look at a challenging problem, you're going to see this problem in those later rounds of V4. And now if we look at this, and if we read this, it says M plus 14 divided by 6. So looking at it that way, we see that M plus 14 is a little bit more connected than the divided by 6. Since this plus 14 is involved directly within this relationship of M, we actually need to eliminate this 6 first. So if we go back to the pattern of the old one, it was when we read the problem, it was the last number that we read that is going to get eliminated. So we're going to try to eliminate this 6 before we eliminate the 14, because the 14 is so closely embedded within that M. So if we read it, it was M, which is our first number that we said, plus 14, which is the second, divided by 6. You're looking at this, we're going to eliminate going backwards. We're going to eliminate the third number, then the second number, and then we're going to have M isolated alone. Actually, I'm going to make that pink just to stay consistent with our equation. So in order to eliminate, now I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to start with that third number. Our equation says divide by 6. Therefore, again, using my opposite operations to help me isolate, I must multiply by 6. Keeping our golden rule of algebra, then I must multiply my other side of the equation by 6. When I multiply by 6, that cancels out that divided by 6, and now I get left with my equation, M plus 14 equals 18. And now again, I have M plus 14 equals 18. So again, using my OOI, I can now subtract 14 from either side, because in order to remain balanced, now I'm left with 0 on this side, plus now M equals 18 minus 14, which equals 4. So if I put 4 in for my equation, 4 plus 14 is 18 divided by 6 equals 3, and that does check out. So that's kind of how we're looking to solve. Really think about how to read the question and how to problem solve through those. And then working your way backwards. When we work backwards, we can eliminate those things furthest away. Remember those weak packs of the herd, those kind of sickly little wildebeests at the very end that those lions can pick off first. We tear all of those last kind of tailing numbers first, and then work our way closer and closer to our variable. Best of luck. Come to me with any question that you have, and let's get through that V4.